Hello, everyone. Welcome to the recording of my book, Situationship: How to Stop Breaking Your Own Heart. It's the 50th anniversary, and I just thought I wanted to read it because I was supposed to create the audiobook at some point, and the some point is now because life took over. So we're going to start from the beginning, and I already know that I'm going to have extra things to add as we go because 5 years has passed. I've learned real stuff from being married now. I have the situationship and relationship landscape has changed, and I want to add new thoughts. I also had, a series of conversations with young men, young women, like in groups, in churches, and there's more now. I know more now. So maybe this will be what bets the second edition. And if you want to read the physical book along, you're welcome to go to my website to buy it. Fopsy.ca/book, I think should get you there. And you can buy it for the ebook version, or you can go to your favorite Apple Books, Google Books platform and get it there as well. The hard copy version is unfortunately out of, but it's no longer available essentially. So be sure to enjoy the soft copy. And as always, if you're enjoying this, leave comments, share with me, share with other people, and let the word spread. Let's get into it. This is Situationship: How to Stop Breaking Your Own Heart by yours truly, Fopsy. Okay, so I'm actually going to read it all. It should be fun. To my mom, thank you for scanning everything I wrote as a child and making my writing feel like important work. Thanks for bragging about me to your coworkers and giving me my first fans. To my dad for hovering over me and making sure I did not fall asleep as I typed up my little articles for my primary school's billboard. Thank you for being a constant voice of encouragement. Okay, so acknowledgement. With love, admiration, and all the gratitude in the world, I acknowledge the support and contributions of my husband, Obiora Nkwacha, in helping to make this book a reality. He has always encouraged me to dream out loud and has been instrumental in teaching me to become as much of a doer as I am a thinker, a dreamer rather. Oops. He designed this beautiful book cover and worked tirelessly with me to figure out self-publishing. If you ever need a graphic designer, my husband is the chief creative director of Image Studio. It's spelled EMAEGE studio.com. And he will astound you with his work. A big thank you to Chinamso Apara, Christine Wang, Obiora Nkwacha, Angela Adewale, and my mom, Oliamc Adewale, for taking the time to read through earlier versions of this book and suggesting ways to make it better. Because of them, I have been able to refine my ideas. I have added things that would make it easier to read. I am so grateful to God for this undying interest in relationships, for wisdom, and all the people and experiences He has brought my way. Thank you to my friends, leaders, and everyone who has enthusiastically received my work and provided feedback. I appreciate you all. That still stands true. Introduction. This whole thing started out being about me. I pride myself on being very self-aware, and I can usually point out my flaws before others see it. However, in 2017, I felt like I had been making the same mistakes with my relationships, or more accurately, situationships. What was even worse was that it was not one situationship. Instead, it was a series of situationships, which, in retrospect, had a pattern to them that I did not recognize. So much for being self-aware. Things changed at the beginning of 2018 when I was single. That is, not talking to anyone in any shape or form. Graduate school had just gotten done and all the job leads I thought I had fallen through. So what does a single, unemployed person do? Think deeply about her life. Yep, that's what I did. I started to reflect on the last situationship I had gotten into and how messed up it was. It was the kind of situation that had the potential to make me the topic of gossip on social media, if word about it had spread. It was embarrassing that I had agreed to be strung along by a guy who had no specific intentions stated. This guy was your typical nice church guy, the kind that appeared super harmless and holy on paper. He served in church and had a very humble vibe to him. He spoke in tongues with a lot of confidence and talked about his many spiritual achievements, which I now realize is not meek. It's not a meek, holy thing to do. Everybody liked and respected him. It was these characteristics that made the end of the story more unforeseeable. We will call him not so angelic. I let all my guard down around not so angelic because I guess when you think you're around someone holy, you throw caution to the wind. Everything seemed nice. I enjoyed our growing friendship, spiritual conversations, and positive vibes. To be honest, if I had been more vigilant, I would have noticed that some things were off about our interactions. Not so angelic was evasive in his responses to my questions. Instead of providing a straightforward answer, he would opt for a long story that never quite answered the question. On my part, I preferred our budding, undefined relationship to the loneliness of singleness. I was struggling with finding my tribe, people I got along with, and who would provide me with a sense of love and belonging. I figured I would focus all my energy on finding the love that I assumed would cure my loneliness. This story with Not So Angelic ended with me finding out that I was the other option he was considering while he awaited confirmation from the Holy Spirit about his real girlfriend. It turns out Not So Angelic's holiness did not stop him from pursuing me as plan B in case his primary relationship did not work out. And my cowardice and quest for love did not allow me to demand better. I could not summon the courage to ask questions to define the relationship. I will leave that story now and focus more on why I wrote this book. In 2018, when I had my awakening about situationships, I decided to journal about it. I hoped that planning to avoid situationships in the new year would help me make it a reality. Spoiler alert, it worked. I titled my journal entry, How Not to Break Your Own Heart in 2018 and Henceforth, a guide for Fopsy by Fopsy. It's still somewhere on my Instagram highlights. Actually, I think I might have deleted it now. Yeah, I shared it. One of my 4 rules for preventing future heartbreak was, thou shalt not be thirsty. It was an idea that came from me realizing that I had been so thirsty for love that I was too quickly accepting random guys into my life. So in one sense, it was my fault that I was ending up in unhealthy relationships. I realized that meeting random people was not my fault. However, accepting them into my life and camping with them certainly was a decision I was making, or at least it was a result of my negligence. So I owned up to my fault and wrote out my plan to do better. Going off script, kudos to past me for also acknowledging my own faults. One of the things that we do in relationships, situationships, is that we just assume the blame is all on the other person or circumstances and not on us. And so step 1 is also realizing that you allowed this to happen, or you stayed while it was happening and you didn't do better because you have agency over yourself. Yeah. Anyways, back to reading. During this season of reflecting, I realized that I had some lousy beliefs about love. I believed that I was incomplete. I was also scared of ending up alone. I felt like I was running out of time to find someone. Let me also add that I wanted to have sex. I felt like while saving sex for marriage was not the hardest thing, striving for sexual purity in what I thought and what was getting harder by the day. I was barely 22 at the peak of all these emotions, but I strongly felt like I had to do something about my singleness. It felt like a disease. I needed a cure. I was sure that I had to meet someone right away or my window of opportunity would close. This is so interesting because I had a similar conversation with someone who is 28 recently, and she was like, oh my god, I'm basically 30, and I'm like, you're 28. She's like, okay, but what's the difference between that and 30? This is me going again off script. Sorry, you'll see that happen quite a bit. And I realized that whether you're 22 or 28 or 40, these thoughts, they persist and they're real. Anyways, back to reading. Hindsight grants us the privilege of clarity. So I also want to be fair to my younger self. It is indeed much easier to make new friends and go on new dates when you're young and in school because you're surrounded by people of similar ages and mindsets. It is also a legitimate desire to want to meet someone and prioritize being in a relationship. I talk about these desires a lot in this book, both by describing how to find more date-worthy people and by discussing being proactive about your search for someone awesome to do life with. But at the same time, it is essential to realize that we do not have total control over this process of getting into a great relationship. We cannot deny the hand of God in orchestrating time and chance. Neither can we forget that you still need someone else to do their part to make things work. My eagerness to meet someone and being anxious about not seeing things happen on my preferred timeline did not help. It only led to me welcoming everyone that seemed like a potential date without really screening them. Thankfully, I was shielded by God's mercy from many of the consequences that could have come from my unwise, unguided desperation. All I have to show for that season of life are unpleasant memories of mistakes I did not have to make and stories about people like Not So Angelic. But it could have been a different story. You will meet all kinds of people, but you do not have to accept all types of people into your life. You can avoid many love and relationship problems by becoming more aware of your problem areas, setting appropriate boundaries in relationships, and desiring and working towards better relationship outcomes. This book is for you if you believe in love that lasts and want it. It is for you if you desire marriage and are tired of investing your time and energy in people who do not mirror the same effort. This book is also for you if a part of you is confident that there has to be more to love. You know that love could be better, more profound, more satisfying, more growth-inducing, less casual, less selfish, more heaven-like. I'm a Christian. This means my understanding of the Bible and its teachings about life have significantly influenced my perspective on everything, including relationships. There's a chance that you will find some of this book preachy. Hopefully, you will not just feel preached at. You will be able to resonate with the message. Deep down, I hope you will agree with the principles in the book and that some of it will stick with you. It will make sense to both your head and your heart. This book will leave you with a desire for better outcomes in relationships and equip you with the skills to achieve these outcomes. Let's get into it.